see, it is a different vibe today because there's no guests. But I wanted to do something different today. I wanted to, as we all know, those who are football fans, it was a very interesting week this week. Obviously, like we know that European football is being played throughout the whole month of August. That was all the rest of the round of 16 games, the quarterfinals, semi-finals, finals of even Europa League and Champions League, all being played throughout this month, which is, I feel like for fans who love football, that's a treat, that is. But I kind of wanted to go in depth, especially on the last three quarterfinal games that were played over the last 3 days. So the first game, obviously, that I want to talk about is the first game that happened. The first game that happened was Atalanta versus PSG. Now, Atalanta in their league, I think they finished inside top four. They don't have a very high-valued squad. They're not very, like, a rich club. They're not up there in terms of history. They're not up there in terms of success. They're not up there in terms of business. All that. They're not really in that category. To be honest, to get to where they are in the quarterfinals of the Champions League is a pretty big thing for a club like Atalanta, considering it's their first time. And they were going up against PSG, who are regulars in the Champions League. They just won the league for, like, I think the third year in a row. I think they've not won it in the last 6-7 years, probably once. They've got an unbelievable attack in the likes of Neymar and Mbappe. They've also got Mauro Icardi. They've got Angel Di Maria. They've got Marco Verratti. In defence, they've got the likes of They've got the likes of Marquinhos. They've got veteran players like Thiago Silva, who's been there for almost a decade. They've got a top quality side. And obviously, a lot of people thought that it could be a decent matchup because for those that have watched Atalanta this season, they know Atalanta are a very, very attacking side. I think they're one of only 5 teams that have scored over 100 goals this season. And considering they're in a league which is dominated by Juventus, they're in a league where Juventus are the elite team only, where everybody else is kind of fighting to get to that level. Atalanta have become that threat to every team when facing them. Every team in Serie A know that, okay, when we come up against Atalanta, we know that they are going to attack. We need to sit back against them, which is pretty impressive considering you're not a very big club. To have top teams like Juventus, like Inter Milan, who are doing decent as well, fear you because of your attack. I'm sure in Atalanta's squad, they've got over 5 players who are on double-digit goals. And one of their best players, their talisman player in Alejandro Gomez, he's on double-digit assists as well, which is unbelievable when you actually think about it. And obviously, they were going up as the underdogs against PSG. But as the game started, we seen that both teams were just kind of going head and head. Mbappe didn't start. Angel Di Maria was suspended. Marco Verratti was injured, so it was just it was kind of left to Neymar. Icardi couldn't really do much because Icardi's that one kind of player who he needs everything on that plate for him to be able to score, whereas Neymar was kind of pulling the strings all the way. He had a fantastic first half, Neymar did. But he was missing sitters, and everybody knows this. He potentially should have got a hat-trick in the first half quite easily. But Atalanta actually went 1-0 up, which surprised a lot of people. But what a lot of people that know about Atalanta, like myself or like other people that are into Italian football, they know that Atalanta are a team that if they score 1, they're going to aim for 2. If they score 2, they're going to aim for 3. What Atalanta did wrong to a lot of people's eyes were when they scored their first goal, they sat back, which a lot of people were surprised about. They allowed the pressure to come onto them. Neymar was having a fantastic game. He just didn't have the end product in the first half. He never. But Atalanta should have aimed for more. Now, they scored Palace. It was Pasalic who scored in the 27th minute of the game. So that still gave them a good 15 minutes. Well, it gave them a good 15 minutes to try and attack more, to try and get another goal in there, to try and get some breathing room. Because they know that, yeah, we are good at attacking, but so are PSG. They're known as a very attacking side as well. considering they got the likes of Neymar and Mbappe's on the bench. So they knew that in the second half, Mbappe was going to be brought off the bench. They knew that. Straight away, they knew that. What they did, which I was quite surprised about with Atalanta, I don't know if this was just the pressure that got to them of the Champions League being in a quarter-final for them. They sat back as soon as they scored the first goal. They invited the pressure, and half-time ended. Second half started and Mbappe came on. Everybody knew right there and then, those that were watching the game, everybody knew, okay, the game is going to change now. It is going to change. Mbappe's come on. There's going to be a bit more fear factor in there. Their defenders are going to drop a couple of yards. The passing will be better. The movement will be better. Neymar has somebody to play with. That's the difference. As soon as that happened, you'd expect Atalanta to still try and score because they know, okay, if we continue to sit back and invite the pressure, they will score. They will. And Atalanta kept doing it. They kept inviting pressure on. They were quite lucky that PSG were just having a bad day at the office when it came to in front of goal. Neymar should have scored 3, and Mbappe kind of missed 1 too. So in a lot of people's heads, it was like, oh my God, this is the Manchester United game all over again, where the game should have been done and dusted, where PSG faced Manchester United last season in the Champions League. I think they were 2-0 up on aggregate, or 2-1. They take them back to their ground, and Mbappe is missing sitter after sitter, and people are thinking, okay, is the pressure getting to PSG now? It was, but luckily they didn't do what they normally did, PSG. PSG normally, in these kind of high-pressure situations, when their top players don't turn up, nobody else turns up. They don't. The rest of the team kind of capitulates around them. If Neymar doesn't turn up or if Mbappe doesn't turn up, that's it. Like, they don't have a leg to stand on as a club. Luckily for them, in the 90th minute, out of all players to turn up, it was a centre-back in Marquinhos. Marquinhos had turned up with a ball from Neymar. It was an unbelievable goal to think that came so late into the game. I think it was like the 89th minute. Then Atalanta started to open up a bit more, but PSG were on them, which is what Atalanta should have done in the beginning. Atalanta should have been that team that, okay, when we scored, we should have kept the pressure on. They never. They took the pressure off and they sat back. Whereas as soon as PSG scored, they kept the pressure on them. And then they ended up in the 90th minute again. They got another from Eric Choupo-Moting. Choupo-Moting is a Stoke reject. He was relegated with Stoke. And he ended up being the goal scorer to put PSG through to the semi-final of the Champions League. I feel like it's still a very great... I still feel like you can't take anything away from Atalanta. I do believe that their luck rolled them all the way there. And nobody can deny that. They didn't win a single game in their group in the Champions League, where the people want to be like, oh, it's good to see underdogs go through. I agree, it is good to see underdogs go through, like Ajax last season, like Lyon this year. It is good to see that, but you're talking about a club that rode their luck all the way there. They didn't play great football in the Champions League, let's be honest. They didn't win a single game in their group. I mean, you're winning, and they luckily got away with it because they managed to get through. So getting knocked out by PSG shouldn't really take a big blow onto the team. Why? Because it was a shock for even them that they even got there in the first place. Not taking anything away from Atalanta, they are an impressive side to even get there. They're an impressive side to score over 100, almost 100 goals. But also we need to realise that the way they were playing against PSG, not only were they sitting back, but they were playing very dirty. They committed almost, I think, just under 30 fouls in the game, which they are known for that. I think in all competition, they've committed over 100, which is pretty bad when you come to think of it. But they are a goal-scoring side, but I feel like the pressure had got to them. But it's a great experience for these kind of players because they now know what they are capable of doing. They are capable of scoring against top sides. They showed it against PSG. PSG are a top European side. They are in Europe year in, year out, always in the quarterfinals, always in that contention to, maybe PSG could do it this year. But now I guess we'll have to wait and see if PSG can do it this year. PSG's opponents are the winners of the next game. The next game was RB Leipzig, a Bundesliga team, going up against Champions League regulars, two-time Champions League finalists in Atletico Madrid. Now, RB Leipzig's a funny one because I remember when the round of 16 tie came out, and I think Liverpool had got they had got Atletico Madrid, Man City had got Real Madrid, Chelsea had got Bayern Munich, and then Spurs, which was the only other English side there, they got RB Leipzig, and everybody, including myself even, I'll be honest with you, I said that, okay, this shouldn't really be a difficult game for Spurs considering their quality over RB Leipzig's. But RB Leipzig blew him out the water. They played unbelievably against Tottenham, and you got players like Timo Werner who had a major impact on their attack in the game. Players like Upamecano, players like Marcel Sabitzer, that spine that they had in their team, their striker, their midfielder, their defender, that was the key. Now going into, obviously because of lockdown, we had a major gap between the round of 16 to the second round of 16 and to the quarterfinals, but by that time they were already through. So we were just waiting on the quarterfinals game between them and Atletico Madrid. And Atletico had knocked out Liverpool, who are the reigning champions until obviously we have a winner, which was a shock. They gave Liverpool their first loss at Anfield in almost 3 years, especially in all competition. That was Liverpool's first loss at Anfield, and they did what they needed to do. A lot of people look at it like they sat back, they defended, they countered. But at the end of the day, it's about winning. And me being a Liverpool fan, yes, it hurt. But at the end of the day, football's about winning. You can play good football as much as you want, but if you don't get results, then nobody cares. It is as simple as that, especially if you're a big club, especially if you're a club aiming for top-level trophies, like Atletico Madrid, like Liverpool, like all these other teams. For a team like Atalanta or RB Leipzig, it's not really a big deal. But RB Leipzig they went into the game without Timo Werner because he just recently signed for Chelsea and he's not playing any more European football for RB Leipzig, which was a major blow. RB Leipzig is a team that was founded in 2009. So they've just been founded for over 10 years. Just over 10 years. And they have a young squad. Their best centre-back's 21 years old. Their best striker at the time with Timo Werner was only 24. Marcel Sabitzer's only 26. They have a very, very young squad. Atletico Madrid have a more experienced squad. They have players that have played in Champions League finals. They have Europa League winners. They have league title winners. They have some really, really top players in their team. And the way Diego Simeone sets them up, they are feared by other teams in Europe because they may not have the names that other teams may have, like your Messi's, Ronaldo's, Neymar, Suarez, Mbappe, all these kind of players. They set up in a way where teams, whenever teams do face Atletico, they have a very, very tiring time trying to break their defense down because of the way Diego Simeone has them set. But in the game, obviously, I believe, I'll be very surprised if a lot of fans watching the game didn't think that, okay, this should really be an easy win for Atletico Madrid in a one-off game. They're not bad. But RB Leipzig went into the game full press from minute one. They didn't let them out their box. And we know that. But then a lot of football fans were also thinking, but that is what Atletico Madrid allow teams to do. They allow teams to press them. They allow teams to take shots. I mean, when you got a world-class keeper like Oblak between the sticks here, you know that, okay, Yella, you got a bit of safety there. Knowing, that, okay, if they take 5 shots, he'll probably save all 5. Yeah, especially for a team like RB Leipzig that doesn't even have a clinical finisher anymore in Werner. It's different. Now, at half-time, it was still 0-0, but things were looking a lot more positive for RB Leipzig, the way they were pressing. But they needed that goal. They needed that goal to make Atletico Madrid open up and start attacking them too. So the first goal came from Olmo. It came from him, and he's a winger for RB Leipzig, and that came from him. And from that moment on, you seen Atletico Madrid open up. And here's the funny part about Atletico Madrid when they opened up and they started to play. They actually, when they attack, they actually play really good football. You've seen João Felix come on, and he came on and he changed the game for Atletico Madrid. I believe he should have started, in my opinion, because Upamecano had Diego Costa in his pocket the whole game. We all know that Diego Costa's aging now, whereas Upamecano's a lot younger. He's fresher, he's faster, he's got that drive, that ambition to do more. Whereas Diego Costa, we know that he's won enough anyway. And for the way Atletico Madrid are playing, they need an out-and-out striker, not a target man kind of striker. So when João Felix came on, they were passing, they were moving, the movement was good, and then they won a penalty in the 70th minute, which I thought in my head, okay, this is going to be the catalyst now. It's going to be their change. It's going to be them to spur on. It's going to be their way to push them on to win the game now. I honestly thought, even though it was 1-0, I still thought Atletico Madrid were going to win the game, especially after they got the penalty. But they got the penalty, they scored, which was a good penalty by João Felix. He won it. Yeah, it was a fantastic penalty. But then they went back to what they did at the beginning. They just sat back and allowed them to press again. And when that happened, in the 88th minute, RB Leipzig score again. And by that time, the game's pretty much done and dusted, because that's when RB Leipzig just sit back, allow their pressure. See, the difference between RB Leipzig's pressure and Atletico Madrid is that Atletico Madrid lacks that instinct and pace. RB Leipzig is a very ruthless, when it comes to their attacking, even without Timo Werner, you have to be impressed by their quality and the way they played. Without their star striker being there, probably arguably their best ever player, considering they were only founded in 2009. He's probably their best ever player so far. And he is a player that was there when they challenged for the title back in 2018 with their young squad. And now they're in a semi-final of the Champions League with this young squad. Now you look at players across the pitch. Players that stand out are the likes of Dayot Upamecano, who got man of the match. He had to. He won, I think, all aerial duels. He won all the stand tackles. He won all the slide tackles. He had a 92% pass accuracy for a centre-back who's 21 years old in his first ever Champions League quarter-final, without even his main centre-back partner next to him, which is Ibrahima Konate. He had another one next to him in Klosterman, who's actually a fullback. So you look at the way RB Leipzig were, you have to be nothing but impressed with the way they are. The way they managed to beat an experienced side who have not only won a Europa League, they've won league titles, they've been in 2 Champions League finals in the last 10 years. They've come short on both, but they've still been in them. They've still made their way. They've beaten top sides in doing so. But you have to start to ask questions to Diego Simeone. Now, Diego Simeone, nobody can deny he's not. He is a very good manager. Before he came, Atletico Madrid were never in the looking for anything. As soon as he comes in, he changes the way they play. He wins a league title with them. He wins the Europa League with them. He's considered already as probably their best ever manager. But you do have to think about it like this, that this was their easiest route to a Champions League final. They've had harder routes than this. I remember they had to face Bayern Munich a couple of years ago, and they managed to get to the final. How did they beat Bayern Munich? By playing attacking football. I feel like the way Diego Simeone plays, a lot of people are going to look at him and a lot of people are going to think, okay, he plays like how Mourinho played with his past teams, like Inter Milan, like Chelsea in the league, etc. But the difference between Mourinho and the difference between Simeone is that Mourinho won trophies doing this. He won trophies doing this, whereas Diego Simeone, in the Champions League, he should have beaten Leipzig, and he could have beaten Leipzig, but because of his defensive, I mean, if you're going defensive against a team like Bayern Munich right now, fair. If you're going if you're going defensive against a team like Manchester City, or like how they did against Liverpool, how they sat back, put 10 men behind the ball and they won the tie, they did that. You shouldn't be doing that against a team like RB Leipzig, who don't even have a top quality striker anymore, who are inexperienced in Champions League, who have young defenders all the way around, who you do have better players, but they still manage to sit back and allow the press, knowing that okay, if RB Leipzig have nothing to lose here, they don't. This is the best that they've ever been in the competition. If they get eliminated now, they can still hold their heads high, knowing that such a young squad, such a young club with a young manager who's only in his 30s has managed to get his team to a Champions League quarter final. Diego Simeone, I feel like Atletico Madrid players even, I feel like they're getting held back. Their potential to be better is getting held back, like the type of João Felix. João Felix was only good up until he scored. But then the reason why was because as soon as he scored, they went back to their defensive style of play. João Felix he's an attacking player. So is the likes of Saul, so is Koke, so is Angel Correa. These kind of players, they are all very attacking players. They are forward-thinking players. They drive with the ball. But because of his style of play, it doesn't be allowed to happen. Now, RB Leipzig are going to be going up against PSG now, which is going to be a really, really good time when you think about it. But here's the thing. RB Leipzig, again, are going to go into this game knowing they have nothing to lose. But that doesn't mean that they're not going to play their best regardless of that. They are going to play their best. And if the likes of Dayot Upamecano have if he has a performance like that again, he's going to be, like he already is, a hot topic when it comes to transfers in the world of football. But if he has two back-to-back stellar performances against two top European sides, he's going to be sought after by every top team in Europe. Like, he's not going to be able to be off anybody's radar. That's what it is with him. Neymar will have to do a lot better. It is going to be a very head-to-head game, in my opinion, because PSG they do have pressure on them. They do. They know that, okay, we have to win this game. We have to, because we've been going in and out of Champions League. Luck's not been our side. We've played poor. We've had results go against us. We've had referee decisions go against us. We need to win this game. This is our easiest route to a final. It is. And they know that themselves. They've had to face Atalanta, and now they're facing RB Leipzig. Two teams that are inexperienced in European football. Now, with that being said, with PSG, their players, now what we've seen in the Atalanta game was a bit of luck needed. Now, can you really think that they are going to get two 90-minute goals again? They need the likes of Neymar to turn up with his goals. We all know his ability. He was the best player on the pitch, without a doubt. Anybody that says that he wasn't, they need to rewatch the game and see what he did. Just because he didn't get goal contributions up until the 90th minute, he was the best player on the pitch regardless of that. He took on the most players. He got past players when there was three people around him. He would manage to get past them. He drove forward with the ball. He had no help. Icardi was getting double teamed by defenders because they know that, okay, if he gets the ball, he's just going to shoot. And with his instinct in front of goal, he's not going to miss. Because that's how Icardi is as a player. When he played for Inter Milan, he did the same. He used to potentially do nothing for the whole game. And then he used to get one shot and he used to go in. But that is how Icardi was. But he was locked off for the entire game. But then Neymar had to pull the strings, which he did. Now, I do believe Mbappe will start. I do believe Neymar will start. Di Maria will start because the suspension will be over. So when you have them three playing, it is going to be dangerous. So I believe, in my opinion, I mean, so far, these ties have been very unpredictable. Because it's a one-off game, anything can happen. But if we're going off paper alone, this game is PSG's to lose. It really is PSG's to lose. I mean, if they lose this, then I believe this is their best chance to even have a chance of winning the Champions League. This is their easiest route to the final. This is their best chance of winning it. Every other time they've faced better sides. Every other time they've faced more hungry sides. And they've managed to get eliminated. They need to be able to soak in the pressure, especially their top players. But the players around them need to be able to do it too. You can't just put all the pressure on Neymar and a 21-year-old in Mbappe. Players like Thiago Silva, who had a very good game against Atalanta, they all need to have that ability to turn up. With RB Leipzig, I feel like they're going to set up how they did against Atletico. They are going to press them, but they also know that PSG are a counter-attacking side. and they are way better at they are far better at counter-attacking than Atletico Madrid are because of the firepower that they have in their attack. I believe it's just going to be an end-to-end game for me. But if RB Leipzig do sit back, they're going to invite pressure massively from PSG. Now, the next game that I want to talk about, which is probably the most shocking game of all, and we will go in depth about it in the next part of the in the next part of the show, is Barcelona versus Bayern Munich. Now, we know that Bayern Munich were the favourites. Barcelona, in a lot of people's eyes, were the underdogs, but at the end of the day, they are Barcelona. So hopefully in the next... So hopefully after the break, we're going to go more in depth about that game. And we're going to kind of dissect about the performances, the player performances, and what kind of happened. Because it was a shock. So hopefully we'll see you soon. Hi everyone, welcome back to the show. Just before the break, we were obviously talking about the last game that happened in the quarterfinal ties, and we were talking about Barcelona versus Bayern Munich. Now, this game was arguably the biggest game out of all the quarterfinals ties because it was two big clubs, two Champions League elite teams, two teams that have won it 5 times, two teams that have trebled respectively in their own times. Obviously, in time, we know in the last year, 2 years, Barcelona have not been as good as they should have been in the last 3 years even. It all kind of started in the Champions League campaign where they faced Roma. They were 3-0 up and then they ended up losing the tie in the second leg, which was a shock to everybody. And then the season after, they had Liverpool in the semi-final of the Champions League. They were 3-0 up in the first leg and everybody was like, yeah, that's it, game done. Lionel Messi scored a free kick, Suarez scored, that's it, game over. They go to the second leg and they ended up losing the game there. They got knocked out being ahead by 3 goals 2 years in a row. And this season, before lockdown, Barcelona in the league were pretty dominant. They were ahead of Real Madrid by I think they were ahead of Real Madrid by 7 or 8 points. And then post lockdown, they just capitulate. Like, they start losing games that they should win. They start drawing games they should win. And they end up losing the league to Real Madrid. Because Real Madrid didn't lose a game in the league since lockdown. They won almost every single game. And Barcelona, that's when a lot of questions started to come into Barcelona. Like, is this team capable of going ahead again? Now, you look at Barcelona's squad. They've got a very aging squad. I think everybody kind of knows that now. Gerard Piqué in his 30s, Jordi Alba in his 30s, Busquets, Rakitic, Vidal, Messi, Suarez. These kind of players, Griezmann even, they're very old players, yeah. Like, they're in their 30s, which means that they are aging. I'm not saying that just because you turn 30, you automatically become bad. No. But you can tell that some of them are losing their pace. Some of them are losing they're not able to keep up with the fresh young players of now. The instinct of, like, just their hunger to be better. A lot of them have won it all in that team. Like Gerard Piqué, he's won it all. So was Lionel Messi. So was the likes of Jordi Alba. They've all won it all. So was Busquets. I mean, a lot of them have won it all. So they're not going to have that same hunger as some. But you go into this game and you think, okay, it's a one-off game. It's a neutral stadium. Both teams haven't won a Champions League in a while. Barcelona haven't won it since 2015. Bayern Munich haven't won it since 2013. They've not even got to a final since then. Neither team has, since they've last won it. So it's like both teams do need this. Now, the reason why a lot of people thought, okay, Bayern Munich are going into this game as the favourites. Why? Because one, they've been dominant in their league. They've won all the domestic trophies in their league as well. So, as well as the league and the domestic cups. So they are on the verge of winning a treble. If they win the Champions League, they are in contention for a treble, which will be their second, and only one other team has done that, which is Barcelona. They've got players that are in good form. Robert Lewandowski is, without a shadow of a doubt, the best striker in the world right now. On current form, nobody even comes close to him. He's top goal scorer in his league. He's second top goal scorer in all of Europe. He's top goal scorer in Champions League. Most assists in Champions League. I mean, he's almost top he's top of the chart when it comes to everything. I mean, he's the most feared striker in all of Europe right now. So, and I know that Immobile, who's the Lazio striker, he kind of went ahead of him on the European goals, but Immobile scored 14 penalties, whereas Lewandowski never. So it's kind of one of them where Lewandowski has been that focal point for Bayern Munich that allows the rest of the attack to play good. Whereas Barcelona, they've shown that they are a calamity at the back. And a lot of people thought, oh no, it probably was just a phase. They showed in the Napoli game, whatnot. Okay, people need to understand. The Napoli game, first of all, the game was at Nou Camp, and Barcelona do play better at Nou Camp. Second of all, it was Napoli. Now, I'm not taking nothing away from Napoli. They have top quality players, but they're not a threat to any team that they face, especially in this stage of the tournament. They're just not. Like Napoli were there. I think it's a privilege for them to be there. They're glad that that in their head, you know what, we got to a Champions League round of 16, and that's it. All right, we're gone now. It doesn't really bother them that much. Now, Barcelona going into this game, a lot of the players were obviously like, you do have to be confident. Yeah, like you have to use confidence to be able to make sure that the other team isn't getting into your head. But as fans, we kind of knew that Barcelona are going into this game as underdogs. But we also thought that, you know what, because it's a one-off game, it's a neutral stadium, it's going to be an even game. Like, it's going to be a head-to-head game. It's going to be close. It's not going to be, like, one-sided. It's not going to be, like, a big gap in the goal scoring. It will be a very close game. But I feel like all of us were not ready for what had actually happened. The final score at the end of that game was 8-2 to Bayern Munich. 8-2 in a Champions League quarter-final. That is Barcelona's biggest ever loss in Europe, ever. They've never conceded 8 goals in a game in any type of in any European competition. They've never done that. That is their biggest loss, which ended up resulting in their manager getting sacked the following morning, which, if you actually understand it, it had to happen. No manager is safe when you're managing a team like Barcelona and your team's conceding 8 goals. But I believe more than the manager, the players deserve blame more. Honestly, I do. I mean, as players, how are you not driven to try and win this game? How are you not thinking that, okay, Thomas Muller scores straight away in the 4th minute of the game. Then you see Luis Suarez is kind of causing their defense problems. He's causing Boateng problems, especially. He's kind of the liability in their defense because of his age. And they ended up getting an own goal from David Alaba, which was an unlucky own goal, but I reckon if he didn't get the ball, it would have gone to Suarez, probably would have been a goal anyway. So from then, everybody was like, okay, it could be an open game now. 1-1. 2 quick goals in the first 10 minutes. Let's see what happens. Then, that's it. Like, Barcelona's defense just capitulates. It just collapses. Honestly, it's like a tower and you just take away the bottom and that's it. It was one of the worst defensive performances I've ever seen from any European side, let alone a top side in Champions League. Like, people used to make fun of Arsenal for losing 5-1, 5-1 and stuff like that, but Barcelona have just conceded 8 goals in a quarter-final. 8 goals, which is unbelievable. Goals from Perisic, another goal from Muller, from Gnabry, from Kimmich, from Lewandowski. And to add salt onto the wounds, their own player, their own loaned player in Coutinho, comes off the bench, scores a brace and gets an assist. Now you start to think that what is with these players? Like, are they not motivated to actually win the game? Like, nobody can sit here and say that Barcelona are just, they have dreadful players. No, they don't have dreadful players. They just don't have, they're just not set up right. They're set up in a way that they're so easy to break down. It's unbelievable. First of all, you're buying old players, first of all. Like, you're trading in Arthur, who was their best ever, he was probably their best young player in a very long time. Well, especially when it comes to midfielders. He's probably their best young midfielder since Iniesta, because they don't buy these kind of midfielders. They hope and pray for somebody to come up from the ranks. And Arthur, they bought Arthur, and he ended up being a revelation for them this season. They sold him, who's only, I think Arthur's only 22 years old, 23. They sold him and they bought 30-year-old Pjanic from Juventus, who hasn't even been good for Juventus this season or last season. You can tell Pjanic is even on the decline. But Barcelona are just, there's something fundamentally wrong with this team that even Lionel Messi couldn't even fix. Now, Lionel Messi went into this game. The spotlight was obviously on him for Barcelona, and the other team, the spotlight was on Robert Lewandowski. Now, Lionel Messi has been Barcelona's captain now, since the departure of Iniesta. Iniesta left, Xavi left, the rank had to go to Lionel Messi. Since he's been captain, Barcelona have not been good in European competition. I'm not saying that the blame should all go to Lionel Messi, but if you actually look at their seventh goal, he gave the ball away and he didn't even try to get it back. Which I think, if you're a leader, yes, fine, the game's done, you're out of it, but you shouldn't just be like that. You lost the ball, you should try and win it back, especially if you're so deep anyway on the pitch. I feel like Barcelona's best player out of the bad bunch was Luis Suarez. He scored a world-class goal. He fake-shot it past Jerome Boateng and he put it straight past Neuer. But it was all irrelevant. Because by that time, the score was like, I think 6-2. So, I mean, to concede 8 goals, we know Bayern Munich have a much better team. Their squad players are a lot better. Their depth is a lot better. But Barcelona have also been winning league titles the same way Bayern Munich have. Bayern Munich have won 9 in a row. Barcelona have won, I think, 8 out of the last 10. Which is unbelievable when you think about it, considering they're competing against Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid. Barcelona have been dominating La Liga for the last 10 years, comfortably as well. Like Real Madrid have only won it twice, I think since 2011 or 2012. And Atletico Madrid have only won it once, whereas the rest have just been Barcelona. So they are not that different when it comes to performances. They're not that different when it comes to achievements to Bayern Munich. But Bayern Munich had this hunger going into the game that they want to win the Champions League. Barcelona knew that they haven't won the league. They got embarrassed when it came down to it. Why? Because they were so far ahead. When you're 8 points ahead and you're Barcelona, you're pretty much out. You're pretty much too far ahead for any of the other teams to catch up, because they know that Barcelona aren't the type of team, in the league especially, to drop points just here and there. They might drop it once, but that's it. Especially when it comes to that crunch time in the season. And especially what Lionel Messi said, what me and Subhan were talking about a few weeks ago, when Lionel Messi had stated that there's something fundamentally wrong with this team. We're just not playing good. The players just aren't playing good. Their own captain is saying that, and I remember me and Subhan were talking about it last week, that could that be like that, like a hidden motivation for the players, that, you know what, our captain, arguably the greatest player of all time, has just said this. We need to fix up. Now, doing good against Napoli, your own stadium, it's great. Yeah, it's not overly impressive, because at the end of the day, it's at your own stadium and you're facing a top 6 side in Syria. But then when you're going head-to-head against a team that's almost on the same level as you, probably on a better level than you this season alone, but in the last 10 years they have probably been on the same level, probably a bit lower actually, because Barcelona have won the Champions League more recently than Bayern Munich, and they have had better teams, and they have had better players. You'd think that they would go into the Bayern game thinking, okay, we need to win this game. Whereas it looked like after the third goal went in, that's it, every player gave up. Nelson Semedo was being run ragged on that side by Alphonso Davies. Alphonso Davies is a 19-year-old left-back. This is his first full season. He arrived at Bayern Munich in January of last season. This is his first full season at Bayern Munich, and he was originally a left wing, and they converted him into a left wing back / left back kind of thing. David Alaba, who's naturally a left back, has played left back his entire career at Bayern Munich. He was playing centre back with Boateng. I mean, you have these kind of players that are able to adapt to positions, that are okay to say, you know what, yes, I'll play there. Thiago pulling the strings in the middle. Thiago used to be a Barcelona player. He used to play for Barcelona. Barcelona didn't want him anymore. And now look, Barcelona, the funny thing is, they need a player like Thiago. They need a player that can grab the ball from deep, drive forward with that skill, with that flair, that can pass the ball long, pass the ball short, have that trickery on the ball, have that eye for a quality pass. He's a complete midfielder when you look in the centre. He was pulling the strings yesterday. Coutinho comes off the bench, a player that wasn't even, who was deemed as a flop signing for Bayern Munich. Why? Because they didn't like the way he played. He comes off the bench and he's destroying Semedo as well. Jordi Alba was getting run ragged by Serge Gnabry. Serge Gnabry, he peeled off of Lenglet and he was kind of shrugging him off as he scored the volley. Robert Lewandowski in that centre-forward role, he was playing phenomenally. The way he was just like causing problems from start to finish for PK and Lenglet was just amazing. The way he played. Thomas Muller is a player who is not looked at as, okay, he's amazing to watch. He hasn't even been that good over the last 5 years. This season, he's been phenomenal for Bayern Munich. He's broke the assist tally record that was held by Kevin De Bruyne in Bundesliga. That record hadn't been broken for almost 5 years, and he broke it. He came into this game with already a good record against Barcelona, 5-5. He scored 2 goals against them. Their defense was just shocking, like especially in his second goal where Robert Lewandowski, he kicked it to Muller and then Muller shot first time. You look at PK and you look where he's standing. He's standing right next to Ter Stegen and you're thinking, what are you doing there? Why aren't you like right next to Thomas Muller, knowing that he's a goal threat? Knowing that if he takes a shot with his instinct, it's going to be a goal. Ter Stegen's not stopping him no matter how good he is. Robert Lewandowski is a top quality player. It's going to be hard to stop him regardless because he's such a complete forward. His ability to pass, his ability to move, his ability to shoot, his ability to be an aerial threat, it is a problem for any team. Serge Gnabry's peeling off easily through the centre. He's a winger and he's peeling off through the centre. These questions need to be asked for Barcelona. A lot of people after the game that on social media was like, is this the end for Barcelona? Like, is this era of Barcelona being dominant over now? Like, it may be, see, a lot of people are going to think, okay, that's a bit of an excessive thing to say because I don't believe Barcelona are going to be like an AC Milan. I believe they might be an AC Milan when it comes to European football. Like, yeah, they'll always be in Champions League, but I don't believe they're going to win it for a while. I believe that they're going to have to go through so many wholesale changes. It's unbelievable. Their defense, in my opinion, all of them need to get scrapped. They all really need to be let go of. None of them are good enough. Like, if you were to ask anybody right now, any top European side, which defender from their team would you take? Liverpool aren't even in Champions League anymore, and I wouldn't take any of them. Man City lack defenders, but I don't think they would take any of them. Bayern Munich wouldn't take any of them. Real Madrid wouldn't take any of them. And they got knocked out by Man City with a worse performance, probably by an individual that I've seen in a Real Madrid top when it comes to defenders in my lifetime, and that is Rafael Varane. But I'd still choose Rafael Varane over Gerard Piqué and Lenglet because I know that Rafael Varane, he may have played poor in that one game, but he is still a good defender. Whereas Piqué, Lenglet, they have not been good the entire season. They haven't. Scoring a header against Napoli doesn't mean you're good. At the end of the day, your job as a defender is to defend your goal, and they are just not good at that anymore. Like, you look at their midfield, Busquets, he's struggling to catch up to anybody now. His positioning is still great, but you know when you've got such movement in an opposite midfield, you can't keep up with it. Frankie de Jong's young, but you're looking at a player like that, okay, you're young, but are you really going to be able to hit your full potential playing for Barcelona at this current state that they're in? 10 years ago, if he joined Barcelona, he probably could have been a world-class player after his first 2 seasons. But now, look where he is. A lot of players do need to think about this now. Suarez is getting old. They need to find replacements. They need to start thinking about life after Lionel Messi. And that is where the problem's going to lie. But that is something that I think time will only tell about what Barcelona are going to do. But now, as we speak, as it is, Bayern Munich are into the semi-final of the Champions League. They are going to face the winners out of tomorrow's game. They're going to face the winners out of tomorrow's game in Manchester City and Lyon. Actually, no, it's today. That game is today. It's today, 8 o'clock kickoff, Man City versus Lyon. which obviously we all know Man City are going to be the favourites going into this game. But again, the unpredictability of it being in a neutral stadium, the unpredictability of it being a one-off game, anything can happen. Nobody thought Lyon were going to be Juventus, and they actually ended up beating Juventus. But that was because of the aggregate scoreline. This is going to be different. This is a one-off game, and if one-off games, Man City are very good. It's always the leg ties where Man City are poor. But in a one-off game, they can be better. But I believe whoever wins this game, they're going to have a very, very hard few days knowing that they're going to go up against this Bayern Munich squad that are on the form of their life. I've never seen this kind of Bayern Munich since 2013 with the likes of Robben and Ribéry and Schweinsteiger and Philipp Lahm. Like, you'd never think that, okay, this Bayern Munich squad could ever emulate what that Bayern Munich squad ever did. But they're halfway there. I mean, they scored 8 goals against a top European side. If they faced Real Madrid, they probably could have done the same thing. That's how good all of their attackers are. Every single one of their players can score goals. Alphonso Davies can score goals. David Alaba can score goals. Thiago can. Kimmich can. Goretzka can. Lewandowski can. Serge Gnabry can. Kingsley Coman can. Coutinho can. Their players are unbelievable. That's 10 players right there that have the ability to score goals. Now, the prediction for the potential final, if Man City beat Lyon, it will be Man City versus Bayern Munich. I believe if that match will be fantastic to watch, but I do believe Bayern Munich have that edge because Man City's defense will not be able to hack that attack. They just won't be able to. Man City's defense to me is just as bad as Barcelona's, and for people that think, Man City outplayed Real Madrid, they didn't really outplay them. Yeah, they won the game, but I feel like Real Madrid played terribly, which allowed Man City to look really good. Their defense was shocking. Their defense was dreadful. Laporte was getting turned by Benzema, and Benzema isn't even on the level of Robert Lewandowski. If Benzema could do that to Laporte, then imagine what Robert Lewandowski's going to do. So it is going to be a very 50-50 open game, but I do believe that Bayern Munich are the favourites to win the entire thing. Hopefully next week we'll be discussing more in depth about the entire Champions League. And I believe that a lot of people know that Barcelona do need wholesale changes. But I think what everybody's looking forward to now is the semi-final ties. And now they're going to be they're just going to be unpredictable for any team to watch. So hopefully we'll be talking in depth about all that next week. We'll be talking about player performances again. We'll be talking about team performances, rights, wrongs. So if you stay tuned next week, you'll be hearing from the same.